Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into the Enneagram. It's this really fascinating system, right, for understanding ourselves and, well, everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. 9 distinct personality strategies. And its roots go way back, ancient Sufi wisdom, but folks like Oscar Acaso and Gurdjieff really shaped how we see it now.
Right. And what I find so compelling is how that ancient insight kind of meshes with modern psychology.
Exactly. It gives us this powerful lens on human nature. Suggests we each operate from one of these 9 core perspectives, even if we look different on the outside.
Precisely. And for this deep dive, we're really going to laser focus on the heart of each individual type, just the 9 types themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So no wings, no instincts, no tri-types today. We just want a clear, kind of concise look at the core stuff.
Yeah, the motivations, the fears, the fundamental tendencies, the essential DNA, you could say.
Exactly, the DNA.
And I think that focused approach is really key, because grasping that core of your type, that can be a genuine breakthrough, a real moment of self-awareness.
Okay, yeah, it shines a light on those patterns.
Yeah.
The ones running the show beneath the surface.
Definitely. Those deep-seated patterns.
Okay, let's get right to it then. Starting with type 1, the reformer. What's really at their core? What drives them?
Well, the fundamental drive for a type 1 is this deep, deep desire for improvement. They have this strong internal compass, right and wrong, always seeing how things could be better.
Right. It's not just about things looking perfect on the outside.
No, it's more internal and imperative.
So how does that inner critic, that striving for the ideal, actually play out?
You'll often see ones as really principled, quite idealistic people. Strong sense of responsibility. They set high standards for themselves and others.
Orderly, meticulous, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But that powerful drive, it can also mean they lean towards being pretty critical, inwardly and outwardly, and definitely prone to perfectionism. That inner should voice can be relentless.
And the fear behind all that. What's fueling the constant striving?
The core fear for a 1 is making a mistake. That deep worry about being wrong or flawed or imperfect, that's what propels the meticulousness, those high standards.
Got it. Now, when a 1 is really doing well, like in a healthy space, what's that look like?
Oh, and their healthy expression, 1s are genuinely wise, discerning. They have a realistic perspective. They can be truly noble, even morally heroic, using that ethical sense for good.
So moving from rigid idealism to practical wisdom.
Exactly. Practical wisdom.
But what about when things aren't going so well, when that pressure cooker isn't managed?
Yeah, the less constructive side. Unhealthy ones often wrestle with a lot of repressed anger and this pervasive impatience, that gap, between the ideal and reality. It creates frustration, a lot of internal tension.
And how do they tend to see themselves? What's the inner story?
Their self-image often centers on being sensible, moderate, objective. They kind of see themselves as the mature, responsible one in the room, the one who has it figured out.
Which I imagine could lead to some blind spots, maybe, or challenges relating to others.
Oh, absolutely. That relentless chase for perfection, which is often unattainable, right? It becomes a source of constant frustration. It can stop them seeing the good that's already there.
And maybe judging others who don't meet those standards.
Yeah, that too, for sure.
So what's the path forward for a 1? How do they find more inner peace?
Growth for a young often involves consciously trying to broaden their perspective. Actively trying to understand opposing viewpoints.
Stepping outside their own right way.
Exactly. And intentionally making space for play, for rest, learning to accept help without feeling like a failure, and really importantly, consciously expressing appreciation for what is, not just focusing on what isn't perfect yet.
Softening that inner critic, basically.
Right, softening the critic.
That's really insightful. Okay, let's shift gears. Type 2, the helper. What's at their core?
The core motivation for a 2, it's a really deep desire to be loved and needed, a fundamental longing to feel, essential, valued in other people's lives.
Their emotional focus is on connecting through giving then.
Yes, very much so.
And how does that deep desire show up in their personality, their behavior?
2s are typically super generous, really thoughtful. They actively look for ways to get involved in the lives of people around them. They feel this strong compassion, this natural urge to nurture.
But there's a potential downside.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it can come with feelings of pride about their helpfulness, maybe even a tendency towards flattery, sort of subconsciously, to gain affection.
Okay. And the fear underneath all that giving, what's driving it?
Their core fear is not being loved or wanted. That deep anxiety fuels their efforts to be indispensable, to anticipate what others need.
So when a 2 is healthy, secure,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of vibe do they give off?
A healthy 2 is genuinely self-nurturing first, which allows them to be capable of unconditional love. Truly unselfish, altruistic, genuinely humble. They give freely because it feels right, not because they need something back.
But when their own needs aren't met, what are the less healthy expressions?
Unhealthy 2s often neglect their own needs, sometimes even deny them completely. They might develop an inflated sense of their importance in others' lives.
And maybe become a bit manipulative.
Yeah, subtly. Through compliments, acts of service, subconsciously trying to get that love and attention they crave. They can also find it really hard to just receive affection, feel unworthy, or maybe suspicious of it.
Interesting. And how do they see their role, typically, in relationships?
They often see themselves as the special friend, or the confidant, the one everyone relies on, turns to for support. It becomes a big part of their identity.
Which clearly sets up a potential imbalance.
Exactly. That's a huge pitfall for 2s. Neglecting their own well-being while pouring everything into others, they can get so absorbed in everyone else they lose touch with themselves.
So what's the growth path for a 2? Finding that healthier balance.
Growth for a 2 really involves consciously learning to nurture themselves, acknowledging and owning their own feelings, their own needs, without feeling guilty about it.
And accepting love without strings attached.
Yes. Accepting love and affection without feeling like they have to earn it, or expecting something specific back, recognizing their own worth, just as they are.
Makes sense. Okay, let's turn to type 3, the achiever. What's their main engine?
Core motivation for a 3. It's a powerful desire to be successful and valued. They're deeply concerned with how others see them. Achievement is how they validate their worth.
So their emotional world revolves around getting recognition.
Very much so. That pursuit of recognition is key.
And how does that intense drive show up in their personality?
3s are usually very adaptable, highly motivated, got a strong drive to achieve goals, often focused on efficiency, results, and they can be quite image conscious.
Carefully managing how they look to others.
Yeah, curating that image and this relentless chase for external validation. Sometimes it tips into workaholism, blurring those personal boundaries.
Okay, and the fundamental fear fueling all this driving.
The core fear for a 3 is being worthless, or without inherent value. Their accomplishments get really tangled up with their self-worth. If they're not achieving, they fear they're basically nothing.
Wow, so when a 3 is thriving, though, when they're healthy, integrated, what's that look like?
Healthy 3s become really authentic, genuinely self-accepting. They manage to discover their true identity, separate from their achievements and what others think.
Moving from just performance to real self-expression.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
But the less healthy side, when that fear of worthlessness is driving the bus.
Unhealthy 3s tend to equate their personal value entirely with external success. They often suppress feelings or vulnerabilities that might mess with their desirable image,
Which can lead to
a profound loss of touch with their authentic self, and this underlying feeling of emptiness, even if things look great on the outside.
Is there anything in early life that often contributes to this?
Yeah, often 3s learn early on to be the family hero. The subconscious message is kind of like, it's not okay to not be okay. So they feel this pressure to always be strong, successful, look good for the family.
So a big danger zone for a 3 is
Losing touch with who they really are. By constantly adapting and performing to impress people, they get so focused on external approval, they forget who's underneath all the roles.
Right. So what's the growth path towards a more authentic life for a 3?
Growth involves consciously letting go of that belief that their value depends on what others think. It's about actively discovering and embracing their true identity.
Practicing just being instead of always doing.
Yes, exactly. And things like meditation can really help. Cultivating that inner stillness lets them connect with their deeper self beyond just the achievements.
Okay. Let's delve into type 4 now, the individualist. What's their central quest?
The core motivation for a 4 is this deep desire to find themselves, find their significance, a profound yearning to understand their unique identity and why they matter.
Their emotional landscape is often pretty rich and introspective then.
Extremely.
Yeah. So how does that intense focus on self and significance actually show up?
4s often focus intensely on their feelings, their inner experiences, give them huge importance. They tend to see themselves as fundamentally different from others.
Like something's missing.
Often, yeah. A sense of longing, or that something essential is missing. This can lead to periods of melancholy, self-consciousness. They might even create a kind of fantasy self, an idealized version of who they want to be.
Right. And the core fear driving that search.
The core fear for a 4 is having no personal significance, no unique identity. Being ordinary, commonplace, inauthentic. They really fear being overlooked or misunderstood.
When a 4 is healthy, balanced, how do they express that inner world?
Healthy 4s are deeply self-aware, highly creative, genuinely expressive. They're profoundly connected to their emotions, the whole spectrum, and find beauty and meaning in themselves and the world.
But the less constructive side, when the emotional intensity and search for significance gets overwhelming.
Unhealthy 4s might withdraw into that rich inner fantasy world to avoid, mundane reality. They can experience big emotional volatility, dramatic mood shifts.
Feeling alienated.
Yeah, chronically alienated, misunderstood, can be prone to depression, even self-sabotaging behaviors. Sometimes they might unconsciously test people's commitment by playing hard to get.
What's a key challenge for a 4 navigating the world?
Getting lost in that intense internal world, feeling disconnected from everyday reality, that's a major challenge. Their inner landscape can become a barrier to just engaging with the present.
And the path towards growth.
Yeah.
More stability, more connection.
Growth for a 4 involves actively trying to accept reality as it is, not constantly comparing it to their ideal. Learning to tell the difference between immediate emotional reactions and deeper feeling.
Developing emotional regulation.
Yes, and practicing self-acceptance, embracing their imperfections as part of what makes them unique, not something to be fixed.
Okay. Moving on to type 5, the investigator. What's their fundamental orientation?
The core motivation for a 5 is this powerful desire to understand the world and to feel competent, capable within it, driven by a deep need for knowledge, for mastery.
Their emotional energy goes towards observation, analysis.
Often, yes, directed that way.
So how does this intellectual curiosity, this need to understand, play out?
5s are known for persistently pursuing knowledge, keen observation skills, a natural leaning towards contemplation, reflection. They often need a lot of privacy, personal space to process things.
And they can feel overwhelmed by others' demands.
Yeah, easily overwhelmed by expectations, which can lead to emotional detachment. It's kind of a self-protection mechanism.
And the core fear beneath that drive for knowledge and space.
The core fear for a 5 is being helpless, incapable, or just overwhelmed by the external world. They believe knowledge and conserving energy are vital for survival, for maintaining independence.
When a 5 is healthy, integrated, what are their strengths?
Healthy 5s are remarkably perceptive, innovative, visionary thinkers, capable of profound insight, seeing connections others miss. And ultimately, they can feel a deep connection to the world, even if it's unspoken, and express genuine compassion.
But the less healthy expressions, when that core fear takes over.
Unhealthy 5s might withdraw significantly, become increasingly isolated, detached. They might hoard knowledge without ever really applying it, live almost entirely in their minds.
Sometimes drawn to darker stuff.
Yeah, sometimes drawn to the darker or more abstract parts of life, maybe as a way to intellectualize difficult emotions from a safe distance.
Are there common childhood experiences that shape this tendency?
Often, yeah. 5s frequently report feeling helpless or invaded in childhood, which reinforces that need for strong boundaries, retreating inwards for self-preservation, like an unconscious belief. I have to detach to be safe, to understand.
So a key challenge for a 5 is engaging more fully.
Definitely. Becoming so identified with their intellectual understanding, their observer stance, that they miss the richness of direct experience. That's a big risk. Prioritizing understanding over actually participating.
Staying in their heads is a safe zone.
Exactly.
In the path forward, towards more engagement, fulfillment.
Growth for a 5 involves consciously engaging directly with the world, choosing to participate, not just watch, experiencing their interconnectedness, and taking that courageous step to share their valuable knowledge and their often hidden heart with others.
Okay, let's explore type 6, the loyalist. What's their basic stance towards the world?
Core motivation for a 6. A deep, abiding desire for security and support. A fundamental need to feel safe, have reliable guidance, be part of a trustworthy network.
Their emotional focus is on anticipating threats, seeking reassurance.
Often, yes. Managing fear is central.
How does that strong need for security manifest day to day?
6s are known for their loyalty to people, causes they trust, strong sense of responsibility. They often look for guidance, reassurance from authorities or their community. frequently questioning their own ability to handle things alone.
So anxiety and doubt are common.
Yes, along with a tendency to meticulously prepare for potential problems. Worst case scenario thinking.
And the fundamental fear driving this need for security.
The core fear is having no support, no reliable guidance, feeling alone, unable to survive life's challenges on their own. It's a powerful motivator.
When a 6 feels secure, though, when they're healthy, what qualities emerge?
Healthy 6s are actually courageous, show remarkable resilience when things get tough. They become trusting of themselves and others they deem reliable. They show independence, a strong ability to handle difficulties.
But the less healthy side, when that fear gets triggered.
Unhealthy 6s might become overly reliant on external authorities, constantly seeking approval, direction. They can fear making decisions independently.
And there's a paradox, right? Resisting control but fearing responsibility.
Exactly, that paradox. And experiencing chronic anxiety, suspicion, maybe even paranoia. They often try hard to build the solid network of trust as a buffer against that underlying fear.
What's a big internal struggle for many 6s?
That constant search for something solid to believe in, and a fundamental difficulty in truly trusting their own inner guidance. That can be a major hurdle. Looking outside for answers they might already have inside.
So what's the growth path for a 6 towards more inner security, confidence?
Growth involves consciously cultivating self-trust, recognizing their own competence, their past successes, paying attention to what they do trust, how they make decisions effectively.
Connecting with their own inner wisdom.
Yes, connecting with intuition, and practices like mindfulness, spending time in nature, things that soothe anxiety and build that inner resilience.
Makes sense. Okay, let's turn to type 7, the enthusiast. What's their basic approach to life?
Core motivation for a 7. A deep desire to experience the fullness of life, explore all the possibilities, and fundamentally to avoid pain and discomfort. They see the world as just brimming with exciting options.
Their energy goes towards seeking joy, novelty.
Yeah, that's where it's often directed.
How does that optimistic, experience-seeking drive show up?
7s are known for infectious enthusiasm, optimism, a genuine love for new experiences. They're quick-minded, versatile, but can also be easily distracted when new possibilities pop up.
And they tend to avoid negative stuff.
Yeah, avoid dwelling on negative emotions, keep their minds buzzing with future plans, ideas. Their core fear really centers on deprivation, limitation.
Right, so the fear underneath that constant pursuit is?
Fear of being deprived, experiencing pain, emotional or physical, being limited, restricted, feeling trapped in any way. That fear fuels the desire to keep options open, avoid anything confining.
When a 7 is healthy, grounded, what's their energy like?
Healthy 7s are genuinely joyful, truly appreciative of life's gifts. Grounded in the present moment, they can maintain a positive outlook even when facing difficulties. Show resilience, find the good.
But the less healthy tendencies, when that drive for excitement gets unbalanced.
Unhealthy 7s can show a kind of gluttony for experiences, constantly seeking new stimulation, hard time staying present with any one thing for long.
Bored easily. Impulsive.
Yes, boredom kicks in fast, can be impulsive. Using constant activity, new experiences as a way to escape underlying discomfort or difficult feelings. Their thinking is often rapid, jumping from one idea to the next. Anticipatory.
What's a big challenge for a 7 in finding deeper contentment?
Losing connection with the richness of the present moment. By constantly focusing on future possibilities, the next exciting thing. That's a significant challenge, can lead to a kind of superficial engagement with life.
Missing what's right here, right now.
Exactly.
And the path forward towards more presence fulfillment.
Growth for a 7 involves consciously practicing staying in contact with present reality, facing difficult feelings instead of immediately running from them, cultivating contentment with what they have.
Learning to tell the difference between real needs and just wanting more stimulation.
Precisely. Discerning true needs from fleeting desires. Finding joy in the here and now, not just in what's next.
Got it. Okay, let's dive into type 8, the challenger. What's their fundamental stance?
The core motivation for an 8 is this deep-seated desire to be in control of their own lives and to avoid being harmed or controlled by others. A fundamental need for autonomy, a strong aversion to vulnerability.
Their energy comes out as intensity, a sense of justice.
Often, yes. Intensity and a powerful sense of justice.
So how does that drive for control and protection manifest?
8s are known for being assertive, direct, often have this formidable strength, fiercely protective of people they care about, strong sense of justice, fairness, tend to rely heavily on gut feelings, instincts.
Can come across as intense, confrontational.
Yeah, intensity in interactions is common. Can seem confrontational. Often struggle with expressing vulnerability. They tend to manage anger by expressing it outwardly, directly.
And the fear fueling that need for control and strength.
The core fear is being harmed, controlled, manipulated, violated by others. Often stems from a deep sense that they need to protect themselves in a world they see as potentially dangerous.
When an 8 is healthy, integrated, what kind of power do they have?
Healthy 8s are courageous, action-oriented, inspiring leaders. They can use their considerable strength and influence to improve the world for others, advocate for justice, protect the vulnerable.
And they become more okay with vulnerability.
Yes, more accepting of their own vulnerability as a source of true strength, not weakness.
But the less healthy side, when that core fear is dominant.
Unhealthy 8s can show excessive intensity, a constant need for strong sensations, experiences, an all-or-nothing approach, tendency to push boundaries, intimidate others.
Confrontational, denying vulnerability.
Exactly. Vehemently deny vulnerability, see it as weakness. Their early experiences often involve feeling like they had to grow up fast, focus on survival, self-reliance.
What's a big blind spot or pitfall for an 8?
Mistaking intensity and dominance for real strength, and potentially creating more danger or conflict through defiant, reactive behavior. That's a significant risk. Their need for control can push people away.
So what's the path of growth for an 8 towards more connection, inner peace?
Growth involves consciously getting in touch with their underlying feelings, allowing themselves to be vulnerable, at least with trusted people, recognizing and respecting others' boundaries.
Learning a gentler approach.
Nurturing.
Yes, learning to nurture themselves and others with a gentler touch. Understanding that true strength isn't just dominance, it's also compassion, connection.
Okay. Finally, let's explore type 9, the peacemaker. What's their core orientation?
Core motivation for a 9. A deep, pervasive desire for inner peace and harmony, coupled with a strong aversion to conflict, anything that might disrupt their equilibrium. Their energy goes towards keeping things calm, avoiding tension.
Exactly. Maintaining that sense of calm.
How does this desire for peace, avoiding conflict, show up?
9s are typically easygoing, agreeable, strong desire to merge with others, see their perspectives. They tend to resist being disturbed or agitated, can show disengagement, passivity as a way to keep their inner calm.
Downplaying problems, minimizing their own needs.
Yeah, often downplay problems, minimize their own needs to avoid potential conflict.
And the fear underneath that desire for peace.
The core fear for a 9 is loss and separation from others. And the fear of being agitated, overwhelmed by conflict, experiencing internal discord. They seek that state of inner and outer tranquility.
When an 9 is healthy, fully present, what qualities shine through?
Healthy 9s are remarkably peaceful, stable, present in the moment, self-possessed, able to bring people together, mediate conflict. They have this deep, often unspoken connection to the wholeness of existence.
But the less healthy tendencies, when seeking peace becomes unbalanced.
Unhealthy 9s can exhibit what's often called sloth. Not physical laziness necessarily, but an internal unwillingness to be fully engaged with life, with their own needs.
Self-forgetting, numbness.
Yes, self-forgetting, a kind of emotional numbness or apathy, stubborn resistance to being bothered. Even passive-aggressive behavior as an indirect way to express suppressed needs or anger. While they can be grounded, they might also get cut off from their instinctual strengths.
What's a big challenge for a 9 in living fully?
Checking out from reality, internal and external, as the main way to keep inner peace. That's a significant danger. Can lead to inertia, failing to address important things in their lives, relationships.
So what's the growth path for a 9? Towards more engagement, self-awareness.
Growth involves actively choosing to engage fully in the present, reconnecting with their own instinctual nature, their physical vitality, confronting and expressing repressed anger or resentment in healthy ways.
Investing in themselves, their own development.
Yes, consciously investing in their own self-development, pursuing their own desires, goals, recognizing their inherent worth and the importance of their presence in the world, not just blending in. So as we've kind of walked through these, you see how each of the 9 types operates from a really distinct core motivation, right?
Yeah.
And navigates life based on a fundamental core fear. Understanding that underlying dynamic is so key.
Absolutely. And it's really important to remember these are just concise overviews, the essential bits of each type. We really hope you, the listener, take some time to reflect. on which of these core motivations, these fears, really resonates with your own experiences, your own patterns.
Yeah, because recognizing your Enneagram type, it isn't the end goal. It's more like the starting point for a much deeper journey. Self-understanding, personal evolution, that kind of thing.
Totally. And if this first look at the 9 core types has sparked your curiosity, well, we definitely recommend seeking out more resources. Dive deeper into your specific type, the dynamics between them all.
It's an incredibly valuable framework, honestly, for fostering more self-compassion and just a deeper understanding of all the diverse ways people experience the world.
Couldn't agree more. So, here's a final thought to maybe chew on. Now that you have this clearer picture of the 9 core Enneagram types, what patterns, maybe confusing ones from before in yourself, perhaps in the people around you, are starting to make a little more sense?
Good question to sit with.
Yeah. Thanks for diving deep with us today.